It's great to catch up again with the member for Riverina, Michael McCormack. Michael, a very serious situation in your electorate. First of all, at 8:30 Wednesday when we're speaking, just what is the situation with flooding in the region?
Well, I'm just off the phone to the Forbes Mayor, Phyllis Miller. It's not raining in that central western town at the moment, but expecting showers to return tomorrow. Bit of a reprieve perhaps Friday, and then a heavy dump through the weekend and into early next week. Now, the forecast is up to potentially 200 millimetres. That's a lot of rain. They've already put together 29,700 sandbags and distributed them throughout the town. And they've piled them up around their houses, around their businesses, around the central business district there. I was there on Monday with the Prime Minister, with the Premier, with the emergency services ministers from both the federal and state level, including Steph Cook, who of course is the member for Cootamundra as well. And we looked at the situation. We talked to locals. They're very resilient. They've had 6 floods there in 12 years. Once upon a time it was every 7 years since 1887, so they're used to floods. And that's why, again, I called on the state government to raise that Wyangala Dam wall by 10 metres, 295 metres. It would add 650 gigalitres of capacity to that important water infrastructure. But not only would it add agricultural farming productivity and capacity, it would also improve flood mitigation. And that's what we need. Now, the states have to come on board with these things. We previously, they wanted a loan, $325 million when I was the Deputy Prime Minister. They had that. Then they asked for it to be a grant. But we gave them that, and then they wanted to go back to the drawing board and do some more costings and a final business case. And whilst I appreciate these things are important, the time for talk is over. Time for action is now. If it's good enough to increase the Wyangala Dam wall for Sydney residents, it must be good enough for Wyangala. So that's the situation there. Elsewhere, well, there's Lockhart. Yes, there's road closures there. Been a lot of rain, ground saturated. But right throughout the area, right throughout the Riverina and Central West, I feel for the poor folks down at Echuca. It's and Moama, it's a really worrying situation. But when you look at Maribyrnong in Melbourne, Tasmania, right throughout, the eastern seaboard, eastern states, this La Nina effect is really taking its toll.
And I understand from some comments that have come out from peak grain bodies as well, it's going to be a real headache in parts of your area, I suspect, as well as other parts of Victoria and New South Wales, getting the grain crop off or even the quality of it because of the amount of moisture in the ground or in the crops.
Oh, look, absolutely. Absolutely it is. And this is a situation where, obviously, farmers are going to be looking to the skies, as they always do, and just hope for some dry days. But spoke to the Grain Producers Australia CEO, Colin Bettles, last night, and he has urged people to go to grainsbiosecurity.com.au, have a look at what's available there as far as making sure that they're fully prepared in this natural disaster. And at the end of the day, they're going to look at their paddocks and just say, well, look, it's too wet to drive my heavy harvesting gear in. But if they do want to go online, if they're stuck high and dry in the shearing shed, wondering why they can't get their machinery shed, wondering why they, if it's going to improve, and they've got nothing better to do in their mobile phone handy, that's not a bad app to go to. Grain Producers Australia, they've got it all there, all the information with relief, with what they can do, what they can try, what they can potentially claim. Good website, but again, it's just a matter of looking to the skies and hoping that it stops rain and then waiting for those paddocks to dry out.
Now, I noticed there were some flood warnings around this sort of Narrandera area, just outside your patch, but around the Coolamon area, is there some concern in that region too?
Oh, definitely, absolutely. Well, Narrandera was cut off the other day. As I say, there's a lot of those roads are closed, and Lockhart Kaiwong Road to Narrandera, it's closed to the Borey Creek turn-off and Shire boundary. The Newell was closed there for a while, leading into Narrandera from West Wyalong. But there's a lot of water over the road, the Tootle Mittagong Road. Those sorts of roads have water across them. So I just urge and encourage people to not go through roads that are closed. Absolutely not, and certainly don't drive through flooded waters. So if it's a flooded road, then forget it. If it's just a Obviously, if the local council's looked at it and it's just a trickle across the road, well, just take extra precaution. It just makes good sense, but Rock Walshaw at Forbes the other day, who's running the emergency services team magnificently over there, said the number of people they're having to rescue is beyond the pale, and people are just thinking, oh, well, look, I'm in a four-wheel drive, it'll make it. Well, we saw that tragedy at Tullamore there recently where a young child was killed because the vehicle they were in was swept away in a swollen creek when the road apparently was closed. And, this is just such a tragedy, and we don't want that to occur again.
Yeah, very good point. You mentioned that the Prime Minister and Premier were in the area with you on Monday. How's that received by the locals? Is it helpful having the PM visit to show support for flood-affected communities?
Oh, of course. And I remember when Julia Gillard, who at the time was under a lot of pressure, a lot of pressure as Prime Minister, it came to Wagga Wagga, which obviously probably doesn't vote her way, but she treated like a rock star, and she handled herself superbly, as you would expect. I mean, Prime Ministers are always statesman-like, or in Julia Gillard's case, showed true leadership, stateswoman-like, if you prefer. And look, Anthony Albanese's visit to Forbes was welcomed. I do have a good relationship, a good professional working relationship with the Prime Minister, and he said he would do what he could, as far as roads recovery, because the roads are just pothole-ridden right throughout country New South Wales, indeed country areas, because of the weather that we've had, the weather that we've experienced in recent months has deteriorated the roads. I called on the government there a week or so ago to provide a new fund or extend additional funds, the Local Roads Community Infrastructure Fund that I put in place as Deputy Prime Minister, to ensure that these potholes are not only fixed, but the roads are absolutely brought back better.
Well, good point. As we head towards the federal budget next week, we'll catch up with you next time and look at what's in the budget and whether we're happy with it. Michael McCormack, member for Riverina, thanks for joining us today.
Look very much forward to it. Thanks, Ricky.